All right. Hello, everyone who has stopped by. I see we got a couple people in chat right already, and thank you very much for tuning in right at the start. I am lucky enough today to talk to special guest DX Racer Blue and Black Chair. Give it up, everyone. Chair Stream. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. So I am very happy today to be talking to Mike, aka Twitch.tv, Sir Mike Knight, Twitter.com, Sir Mike Knight, right? Yeah, Sir Mike Knight.
Sir Mike Knight.
Who had to take a minute right at the beginning to be a good daddy. Right, Mike?
It happens.
It happens. And, I think a couple of my loyal viewers, some of which may be in chat already, have the kiddos of their own, so they totally get it, and I totally get it. Even though I don't have kids myself, but it's understandable. It really is understandable.
Yeah, literally Mike, a minute before you started, he goes, "I need a diaper change." Oh no. Okay, here we go.
And Mike says to me, "Do I have a few minutes to change a diaper?" I'm like, "What? I don't even understand why that's a question. I mean." If it took you 10 minutes...
I'm going to do it anyway,
yeah.
But...
like, if I'd said, no, you don't, would you have...
I would have done it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, tough. Sorry.
Yeah. So, Mike and I were having a hilarious to me, and I think depressing conversation to him, like right before we went to live. We're going to just jump right into it. Mike discovered, much to his great sadness, chagrin, and despite the gray hairs that I see poking through in the beard a little bit there, that he is in fact a millennial.
I prefer Gen Y. Look, I mean, there are differences. It's a huge difference, and millennial. It's such a broad year base, whereas Gen X you've got from 1965 to 1976. That's an 11-year. You're talking about almost 20 years combined between millennials, and the only reason why they split up millennials and the Gen Z is because of September 11th, and that anybody born before 1996 isn't going to remember September 11th. It didn't impact their lives, and that's why they split that up. To me, there's a certain way that millennials carry themselves, in my opinion, and I don't believe that I carry myself in that way. And I'm sure you know what I mean.
I do. Now, you don't mind me saying your age on stream, right? That's fine.
I mean, it's against Twitch terms of service, but I don't mind you saying it.
Oh,
no.
Then I won't say it. Well, I will say that you are older, in the older age bracket of millennials, right? I think that's fair to say.
Yes.
Okay. So, as you said, it's a very broad range. Like, instead of just being a 11-year range, I think it stretches what? Like 1980, it stretches, 18 years or something like that? What did you say the cutoff date was?
It is 18 years. It's 1977 to 1995 for millennials.
Okay.
It's pretty huge gap. I mean, baby boomers was bigger, but I mean that's all during the war. We all know why baby boomers is the baby boomers.
Well, I went back to college a little over a decade ago as an older man, and those were adults, young adults, and those were the type of people I think of as millennials. The people who would now be in their mid to late 20s. There's such a difference between...
Which I am older than.
Yes.
Yep.
There's such a difference today, right now. There's a massive difference between someone who is 20 and someone who is 25 and someone who is 30 and someone who is 35. But I think all of those people fall under the category of being a millennial, technically. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, you compare any of those age groups, they seem like completely different, types
different
of people.
trains of thought, different ways of viewing the world, and what's biggest to me is different views on parenting.
That's a good point.
I mean, because that to me is kind of huge in the parenting aspect. I have 3 kids myself, all quite young. One's about to be 7. I've got a 6-year-old and I've got a 2-year-old.
That's a good spread of age range, by the way.
Yeah. You want to hear the age difference between my brother and my youngest brother and sister and myself?
Sure.
I've got an 11-year-old brother and sister.
Okay.
All right. And without actually saying my age, because I can technically do this as a loophole, 22-year difference between me and my youngest brother and sister.
Wow. So so you've got you've got a sibling that's 11 years older than you and 22 years younger than you.
No, 22 years younger than me. I'm the oldest.
Oh, okay.
So right. They're 11, right? They're 11. There's 22-year gap between me and my youngest. I'm the oldest of 5 from my father.
We
all have the same fathers.
Well, in my case, okay, so I'm the oldest of 4 kids, and there's an 11-year age range between me as the oldest and the youngest. And I never really connected that well with my baby brother, because by the time he was able to start doing stuff, I was moving out of the house. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could babysit him when I was a teen, and then, like, as he started to get old enough to be like, hey, can you teach me how to play baseball? It's like, yeah, but I'm moving out. And, like...
Right.
Now, your kids...
I've got one brother I'm really close to. He's the only one that's my full brother. I mean, they're all my brothers and my sister. You know, they are. I'm not going to treat them any differently than I would my full brother. I don't even like that term. He's my brother. But me and my brother Keith, we're 4 years different, and we're definitely the closest out of all of us. But then my 18-year-old brother comes in, you know, and I'm very close with him. The problem, hey, Master Chief, how's it going? The problem is with my youngest brother and sister, they were born while I was already in the Marine Corps. Yeah. So I'm in North Carolina getting ready to ship out to Japan for 2 years, and here I have a little brother and sister that I barely see. But they're closer to my kids than I mean, there's a 4-year difference between my little brother and sister and my oldest child.
Yeah.
So, like, they're closer to them than I am with them, you know?
Well, one thing I want to say also in terms of family, you mentioned, like, oh, I don't go into that whole half-brother, blah, blah. Dude, I have a sister who is not blood-related to me in any way. My family almost adopted her when her guardian died. But previous to that, she spent every day at our house. She slept at our house more often than she slept in her own bed at home. Like, she was just always a part of our family. You know what I mean? Right. And we see her every Thanksgiving. She lives in Detroit now. She lives in Detroit. Hey, real quick, Mike, I don't know if you know this or not, but anytime anyone follows me live on stream, they get what are called the big ups. Feel free to do it with me if you want. But Master Chief, thank you very much for following live on stream. You get what are known as the big ups. Whoop, whoop. But yeah, so she lives in Detroit now, but she comes back every Thanksgiving, and then usually tries to come back either spring or summer, you know, for a visit. So, I mean, right. That whole thing about, like, well, they're my half brother. It's like, you can just call someone your brother. It's fine. You don't need to, you know, whatever.
Right. Well, I've got a buddy who did that. He is his mother is and was a huge drug addict. And his grandfather was, you know, they lived with his grandfather, and his grandfather was great. His grandfather was awesome. The problem was he was getting older, you know, I mean, as grandfathers tend to do. He spent a lot of time over my house, you know, especially when his grandfather, you know, reaching towards the end of his life, decided that he wanted to travel. I mean, why not, right? So, like, anytime he would travel, he would come over to our house and he would stay there. You know, my mother understood. But yeah, I mean, I considered him a brother as well. He was over there all the time. He was the only person that would not have to knock, just walk in, walk straight up to my room, you
Yeah.
know, and you know, I used to smoke a bit of weed back then. So he would literally just come up, light a blunt, blow it in my face. You know, I've since just stopped smoking weed. Obviously, Marine Corps,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Well, it's the thing. It's the thing you do when you're young, right? You know. But it's weird. You as you were describing your that could have exactly been the exact same situation with my sister. Her mom was a prostitute and a drug addict that my mom had been good friends with when they were children, and so when this woman had a child, she gave it to her mother. So my sister was raised by her grandmother, and the grandmother was always very close with our family because she had known my mom growing up. And just so I totally feel you there. Good times, family. And now I actually have two brothers, one of which I talk to maybe about once a month on the phone. And sometimes just like, hey, how's it going? Good. What's up? Nothing much. What's up with you? Nothing. All right, cool. Well, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Like, we just literally just talk, just to make sure the other one's doing okay. And then sometimes we'll talk for like a few hours on the phone, and that's about it. But he lives like 4 or 5 hours away from me. And I've got another brother who lives in Oregon, and I actively avoid talking to him. So, oh my God. I just realized it's not an 11-year age gap. I forgot. So I'm 39. I'll be 40 in December.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 4 and a 5-year-old brother.
Wow.
My parents adopted, they were foster parents, and they adopted 2 children a few years ago. So yeah, I actually have 2 adopted brothers also.
That's crazy.
It's weird.
Nice.
It's weird. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, right. And it's tough when you get older to carry on those relationships, especially when you move far away. I'm 3.5 hours away from my family.
Same here.
I live in Maine. They live in Massachusetts. So it's a 3.5 hour drive. My mother, my father, my brothers, my sister. And it's even more strained now that my brother Keith had his first child, which, has its own issues. I think we talked only once since his son was born. His son was born back in February. So yeah, we've talked once since then. That was on my birthday, and we'll talk again because his birthday's coming up very shortly. So, it does get kind of tough to stay in touch, especially once you start having children, or getting married can, put a strain on that relationship. You've got other people that you're concentrating on. You've got other relationships you're concentrating on.
Yeah, you have to you focus on your life, and while you may not even have bad feelings towards the rest of your family, you're like, well, I'm not going to drive for 3 hours to come see you. I have to work on Monday, or whatever. I totally get it.
No, exactly.
I mean, in my case, I always say, from my house to my parents' house, if my wife is driving, she can make it in exactly 2 hours. That being said, my wife is a goddamn leadfoot. It takes me about 2.5 to 3, depending on traffic, because I go the speed limit, and I always stop once for a potty break. Because you should never drive for more than 2 hours without stopping and stretching at the very least.
Yeah, I say 3.5 hours as well. My wife isn't exactly a leadfoot. Like, she can make it there in 3 hours. That's why she normally drives. I've had so many speeding tickets in my life that I just stopped speeding completely.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I can't keep affording this. My wife, she makes the joke that I drive like a grandma, and you know what? I do. I don't care. I have people that tailgate me, honk at me, go right around me and flip me off. It's like, well, I'm going 5 over the speed limit, so.
Dude. Okay, just so everyone who is watching the stream knows, I am not talking to my clone. This is not a mirror image, okay? We are two different people right now. But yes, yeah, I'm the exact same way. I go cruise control. I put the cruise control 6 miles over the speed limit.
You know,
I haven't gotten pulled over since I was 20 years old.
Age. It saves the knees.
On top of that, like, how many times do you ever want to go to the DMV required, driving class? You do that twice, and you're like, I'm gonna just stop speeding.
I went once, and that was enough for me.
Yeah,
that was it. I was like, no, and I had to take it online. I literally sat here in front of my computer for 9 hours taking that stupid thing. 9 hours. I was like, and it's all timed, so it's not like you can just skip right through it, go right to the test. It's like, oh my god.
Oh.
Like sometimes they would come up with this little tiny paragraph. It'd be like literally 2 lines long, and you had to sit on that page for 5 minutes. And I'm sitting there like, I'm going to get a coffee. Just get back. Is the timer up yet? No, damn it.
Dude,
I'm gonna watch a show.
I had like I said, I had no idea. The last time I went to traffic school was, I think, almost 20 years ago, and we had the internet 20 years ago, but there was like hamsterdance.com and Netscape Navigator and stuff.
AOL. You've got mail.
I actually never had AOL.
Oh man. No, I did. I did for quite a long time. Even once, DSL and cable internet started getting out, my mom still messed with the dial-up. It was all about the dial-up, and and you had the porn. You're just like, ooh, can I see it? Am I
next line?
I can almost see a titty. No.
Oh man, or the worst, dude. Oh my god, it'd start downloading, and then all of a sudden it would do that like. And it would just stop, and it would be like green and purple pixels, and it would stop loading. And you'd be like, no! God damn it. God damn it. I wanted to see that picture of Jessica Hahn or the Baywatch girl.
Right?
I don't know.
Oh, man.
Porn was uphill in this. You young whippersnappers, you don't
Cindy
even
Crawford
know.
And Heather Locklear.
Or that oh god, what was her name? She was on
Janet
Saved
Jameson.
by the Bell.
Oh, Kelly Kapowski, the one who played Kelly.
I never actually watched Saved by the Bell, so I don't know her character name. I only know Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
There you go. Yep. Porn was uphill in the snow both ways. Yeah, barefoot.
So
okay.
here's a story for the youngins. You ready? Tell me if you can relate to this. I remember using my modem to dial directly into a BBS to download porn. Did you ever get into BBSs?
No,
or you
I
might
did
be
not.
You might be just a little bit too young for that. Yeah.
No,
BBSs.
I got really excited when LimeWire came out. I could download my porn.
What was LimeWire? Was that like Kazaa and Napster?
That was like right after Napster ended up going through their lawsuit where they had to start charging. Like I used to use Napster like nobody's business. I was like, oh my god, because before then, before there was Napster and all this other stuff with MP3s and stuff, there was, yes, CDs were out, but like cassettes. That was the only way that we could listen to our music anytime we wanted, and we had to wait for the song to come out on the radio. Before you could record, and you always miss the first couple seconds, because you'd be listening for the song and be like, oh, the startup, record,
dude. Right over there, I can see it on the shelf. Right over there, I have 2 of my gigantic 256 disc Case Logic CD binders. I've got 2 of them right over there. I worked at Circuit City, and I would buy my music on compact disc, kids. And
2002. Yep, the year I graduated.
Well, this would have been 99 was when I was really building my music collection. But yeah. I graduated high school in 96. So there's this one guy put forth this theory that said that whatever music you listen to in high school will always be like the best music for you, and you'll never really find a genre you like better than that. And it's like, alternative rock from the mid 90s is
Yup.
is pretty much the bomb for me.
You know, I got into, like, my favorite band to this day still is Korn. So like we're talking late '90s, you know, early 2000s, and they're still making some music, still touring. So I haven't really had that. Oh, my favorite band is dead. Yet.
Chris
But
Cornell.
yeah, I mean them. I got into Slipknot when they came out. They came out early 2000, right? I believe.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, they came out when I was at Circuit City, so it would have been like 99, 2000.
Yep. You know, a lot of those bands are really influenced me when I grew up. But you know, I'm still very into Korn. Yeah. I forget where I was going with that. I got distracted. somebody asked me for an invite to an Xbox party. I'm like, oh, I'm not online right now. So yeah. But I mean, I still listen to not, I don't want to call it old rock because it's not old rock. I mean, you know, I still listen to you know, Pearl Jam. I listen to Nine Inch Nails. I listen to Smashing Pumpkins. You know,
technically
they're
it's
not
over.
old.
It is over 20 years.
I understand that,
yeah.
but we're not talking about rap here where everything past 2 years ago is old. You know, we're talking about rock. Rock lives on. Rock will always live on.
So let me ask you this: How were you affected at all by Chris Cornell's suicide?
Yes. Not. I wouldn't say as much as I was affected by Kurt Cobain's suicide.
Interesting.
Or, you know, possible suicide. We'll see. Actually, probably never will. Courtney Love got away with it.
I think it's been long enough that we can say if it was a murder, she got away with it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Chris Cornell's suicide, it definitely affected me as far as you know. I mean, that's music I grew up to. You know, I mean, it is. You know, my mother listened. My mother listened to some what would kind of be considered rock, like Huey Lewis and the News. You know what I'm saying? I
love Huey Lewis and the News.
It's still to this day. I listen to that when I'm cleaning, just because that's what my mom listened to when she was cleaning. So like, I'll throw on some Huey Lewis and just jam out, and then call my mom afterwards, like, Mom, with Huey blowing up in the background. You know, but my mom was more of a pop type person. You know, she listened to that type of station. She wasn't really a huge rock and roll person. The biggest influence as far as rock and roll goes is my stepmother, actually. My stepmother came into my life early. I think I was 6. And she introduced me to Pearl Jam. She introduced me to Smashing Pumpkins. You know, she introduced me to all that. And that's what got me into rock. And then I started making my own choices as far as rock and roll goes. You know, then of course friends influence you. You know, oh, you really got to listen to this. You know, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I was really into orgy back then. That was newer type of music, but still rock and roll.
Right.
You know, now they would call it, I don't know what the whole dubstep, maybe. Who knows, dude? What the fuck is dubstep, dude?
I still would just call it 90s alt rock.
Dude, when Korn came out and said they're dubstep music now, I'm like, what? No, you're not. No. Like, dubstep is a mix of absolute just random noise and techno. That's what I consider dubstep. You know, like it's just utter noise. That's all it is. You know, and I never got into the screamo stuff either.
Dude,
if I can't understand the lyrics, dude, I don't. What? You know, I need to be able to hear the lyrics in order to be into a song.
I always said I like most types of music. My favorites are like at the top, like 90s alt grunge rock. Right below that, heavy metal. Excluding screamo, I can't listen to it. It's like,
yeah, I mean, you know, anytime I tell people that, yeah, I like heavy metal, they always go, oh, well, you're gonna listen to this band, and all I hear is, and I'm like, what? Sorry guys, about your ears there. But yeah, no, that's like, how do you understand any of that?
Yeah, and you know what? Can I say another thing too? And I'm sorry if there are screamo metal fans out there. But, like, they all have the worst names. like they're all like death from beyond the grave and like Satan slaying, and it's like ludicrous
The Screamo impression was on point. 10 out of 10.
I just can't get it, man. I wanted to mention Chris Cornell again though, really quick. See, I've always said that the greatest band in rock music today is Foo Fighters. I love Foo Fighters.
I'm not gonna lie. I love the Foo Fighters, and the Foo Fighters are music I can sing to. You know, it's definitely something that I can really sing very well. Chris Cornell, and he was such a multi-talented artist. He wasn't just a singer. He was a drummer.
Right.
He actually started. He's who got you know who Queens of the Stone Age is?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he's the one who got Queens of the Stone Age started. He also started a what they call a mega band. You know what I'm saying? Like where you take different artists from other bands, put them together, and I forget what it was, man. But it was the lead singer of Queens of the Stone Age. I believe. Was it? I gotta look this up. Hold on.
While you're looking it up, I'll just finish my point. What I was gonna say is, while I've always said that while Foo Fighters is my favorite band, and I think they're the best band performing in rock today, I've also always said, but Chris Cornell is the greatest rock vocalist today. His range and his tonality and his ability as a singer was just it was almost unearthly. The way he used his instrument of voice was mind-blowing to me. And so I had to go to a barbecue this weekend, and the guy there, he's a few years older than me, and he would not turn off his Chris Cornell playlist. He's like, nope, this is all we're listening to today. I'm like,
right.
So it's all Chris Cornell or Soundgarden or other stuff that Chris Cornell
or Audio Slave.
Yeah.
You know,
Which
it was just
I like, but at the same time, it's like, this is a little depressing.
Well, you think? Oh, yeah, listening to it, yeah. You know, I probably would have hated Audio Slave had Chris Cornell not replaced Zach De La Rocha as the lead singer. You know, because as we all know, and I used to joke around and call them Sound Against the Machine. Because Zach De La Rocha was the Rage, but Rage Against the Machine was a big influence to me as well, and that goes right along with System of a Down. While System of a Down is a little bit newer than Rage Against the Machine was, they both stood for the same thing. It was against the system type music.
Yeah.
And, you know.
It was down with capitalism as we make billions of dollars off of you
Right.
suckers. We're not hypocrites. We're fighting the machine from the inside. Yeah, are you really? Are you? Okay. Don't get me wrong. I like Rage Against the Machine's music, and I like System of a Down's music. I feel like they sold their identity politics in order to sell records, basically. Which
and you know, we're talking about, you know, how we're talking about, you know, we don't necessarily agree with the politics of the singers that we listen to. I mean, the biggest example of that is Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't necessarily agree with the things that he's done, and yes, he's guilty. Come on, seriously, just because he died before he was freaking, he's guilty, dude. like OJ Simpson's guilty. He's guilty. And you know, I don't necessarily, you know, people always go, you know, because I sit there and I'll listen to Michael Jackson, dude, and I'll jam out to some Michael Jackson. I loved Michael.
Mm-hmm, same here.
As a performer, I loved Michael. And everybody, you know, they look at me like, how can you like the music of a guy who molested kids? And I'm like, because his music didn't molest kids, he did.
Yeah. I mean, I think he was a creep. And I think he was obviously mentally deranged. I would say the only thing in his defense is I don't think that he was a pedophile. Like, I think that obviously he did some stuff, and he probably did inappropriate actions between an adult and a child. But like, to hear him describe it and the way he talked about it, he's like, no, it's all pure, it's innocent, it's fun. I think that the more you delve, because I've had this conversation with a friend of mine who's like, how can you listen to him? He's a pedophile kid toucher. It's like, maybe, but if you look into it, I think it's a lot more likely that his Peter Pan complex was so strong, he just wanted to be a child more than anything else. And I don't know. I mean, we're talking about ancient history at this point, so it's kind of weird to talk about, but
right.
Obviously, he was
the
a
biggest
creep.
factor. The biggest factor you gotta realize here is Michael Jackson never had a chance to be a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Oh, Joe Jackson beat that childhood out of him.
Right. I mean, Jackson 5, he was how old?
Like 4.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Dustin, seriously, I need you to go.
So,
but, sorry, I'm sorry. I was actually trying to make a point here.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we had this conversation 2 weeks ago when you were the streamer of the week for Team MZ. Congratulations again, by the way. And we had this conversation where we both work with the mentally handicapped, right? And he was absolutely mentally handicapped, and a lot of it is set on by the way you're raised by your parents. A lot of it is in direct correlation to your parents. I guess we're gonna have some kids on camp. No, maybe not. What are you covered in? You crazy.
That's such a dad thing. What are you covered in?
But yeah. Sorry, my kids are sitting here distracting me.
Yeah,
but
what you were saying is he had no chance to be normal ever. Yeah. Trav,
just like most of these child stars that you see, they don't have chances to be kids, and because of that, they're pushed into the money. So, and then you see like people like Macaulay Culkin, whose parents take complete advantage of his wealth and just completely rob him, stuff like that. I mean, the parents that sign their kids up for this stuff and force their kids into this stuff, it's all because they want the money. That they see, ooh, cash cow. And unfortunately, that's also some things that happen in the foster system. Obviously, your parents are exceptions, but you see just a bunch of people just, okay, yeah, I'll take in kids, and then nobody checks up on them, and they're just feeding these kids, the cheapest shit they can find, just so they can collect that dollar.
Well, can you stomach to hear kind of a sad story about my recently adopted brother?
Yeah.
Okay, so my parents are the example of good foster parents. What happened was the first of the two brothers that was placed with them came to them at 9 months old. He was 15 pounds at 9 months old. And over 50% of that body weight was his head. He was so malnourished and so abused. His arms were, like, his shoulders were curled in. His arms were up against his, like this. His wrists and fingers were curled into little knots. And he looked like a dehydrated bug you might find on the windowsill, because the piece of garbage foster that was taking care of this child's mentally retarded mother didn't bother to. She's like, well, the state's not paying me yet, so I don't really have to take care of this kid. She literally almost killed this kid until a social worker went in one day and said, where's the baby? And they went and looked, and she said, something's wrong with this kid. And then she called services, and the whole thing got involved, and the kid was in the hospital for like 6 weeks because it was almost dead, and then it got passed into my family. And now, despite him being quite severely mentally retarded, he's a healthy young boy. He's a healthy young 5-year-old. He runs, he laughs, he plays. He's starting to learn words. He's starting to be able to communicate a little bit. It's great. And then his younger brother, because when my parents got this first boy, who was 9 months old, the mother was already pregnant with a second child. So my parents said, you cannot let that child be raised in that house, because the same thing's going to happen. So they've started filing for the paperwork to get foster care of the child, and they got him the same day he was born. And the younger kid, again, also some mental retardation because both of his parents our MR. But he's doing really well. He's 4 years old physically, but, developmentally, probably about 3. He's doing real well. He's going to school and like a preschool, and, he's doing pretty good. So, yeah, I would like to think that for every bad foster family or every bad foster parent, there's a good one. Like for every, like that piece of garbage, there's my parents. But I think, unfortunately, it's not. There's a lot of people who just are out there just thinking about themselves. I don't know.
Yeah. Real quick, I actually kind of want to answer Trav's question.
Yes, that's what I was going to get to.
Corey Taylor, obviously for those who don't know, lead singer of both Stone Sour and Slipknot, and he sings 2 completely different ways. As far as preferring, I don't prefer either. I like both. And all it does is it just proves his range. I mean, he can go from one band who's quite heavy in both instrument and vocals to a more softer side where you can actually hear his lyricism. And he's an incredibly smart and talented songwriter and singer. Either way, it's kind of like, but to me, Slipknot will always be a bit above Stone Sour, and it's more like the whole Tool Perfect Circle type debate. Tool will always be a bit above Perfect Circle. That doesn't mean that Perfect Circle isn't great, but and again, that doesn't mean that Stone Sour isn't great. It's just that's what got them started. Tool will always hold a different place than Perfect Circle, just like Slipknot will always hold a different place than Stone Sour. I mean, did that satisfy you there, Trav? I mean, I kind of took the easy way out, but I guess Slipknot, but not necessarily because of Corey Taylor's voice, more because of the nostalgia piece of it.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you. I think this is the first thing we're radically disagreeing on.
All right.
I like both bands, and I would put them pretty much on the same level. But if you held a gun to my head, I'd say I think I like Stone Sour a little bit more. But on that same token, I think I like A Perfect Circle a little bit more than I like Tool. I 100% like Foo Fighters more than I like Nirvana. I think that there can be an evolution in a style of music that's very similar. When bands do that, they sort of rebrand or reband. And it like they might get into a certain style of music with their original band, but they might not want to be playing that music, and then they start a new band and they do exactly what they want to do, which is what I think happens a lot of times with that. So yes, I understand what you're saying with the nostalgia, but I think that it's a lot better when bands are able to do what makes them happy, because I think that if a band is putting out what they're passionate about, you get a better style of music, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I still, to me, the nostalgia piece will win out. But yeah, holy crap, we went full circle here. But yeah, I guess we can shift topics here.
Yeah, Master Chief is gonna tap out. He did not care about
she.
I'm really sorry. I apologize. It's never my intention to offend anyone who's watching. I hope that and if you want to leave, that's I totally get it. I just hope that you just take this for what it is, which is just 2 dudes just rambling and talking. Also, just real quick apology. Since OBS updated, some of my stuff isn't working. So anyone who's looking at my most recent donation and follow, I know that's not working, and I apologize. I don't think it's a big deal, but OBS just updated, and then it just updated again right before I went live. So, listen, you know what though? We've got 20 minutes left, and we haven't even gotten into one of the big things I want to get into. I mean, this has been great. This conversation is going to be great, but I'm going to have to drop the host hammer here, and I'm going to switch topics for a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So let's be honest. We're both here because we're streamers on Twitch, right?
Yes, we are.
Lately, I've been addicted to this one game called Gems of War, but I have not had as much time. I've been super busy like the last week or two. I've kind of been looking for you when you were online, but either I haven't seen you when you were online or what. I'd love to know what you stream, what do you play, what kind of games do you like playing, that kind of thing.
I stream Dead by Daylight now mostly. I'm really into some Dead by Daylight. It is an absolute fun game, and I have a lot of friends like Master Chief, and a few others who I play with, and I have an excellent time. Offline, however, I play Ark. And the reason I say offline, it's more off stream, not offline. The reason I do that is because I play on a PvP server. So anybody could come in and look at what I've got and what's going on, and and it invites trolls. So I play a lot of Ark when I'm not streaming, but I play Dead by Daylight mostly while I'm streaming. So
that makes a lot of sense. I used to stream a lot more Hearthstone, and I've always thought to myself, if someone was smart, they could find my stream. I mean, even though my channel name is Dos Rev, it says Rev everywhere on my stream, and when I'm streaming, it says Rev over my head, which is what my BattleNet tag is. So
right.
I've thought about that.
In Ark, you can see the person's gamer tag, and my gamer tag is the same exact thing as my stream. I don't change it. It's just about everything you see has Sir Mike Knight in it. I mean, even my Twitter, even though it's a little different, it's not. It's still the same. It's just a DA in front of it. Chikara, I don't think we should really go into that. It's obviously a personal issue. But yeah. I lost complete train of thought.
Well, I'll say this. Just as an experiment, now I will say that I have never, ever stream sniped someone. But as an experiment, there were one or two times where I was playing Hearthstone offline, and especially when I start to get up into the higher ranks, I thought, let me just put this person's name in a Twitch search. And once, it came up. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'd be willing to bet. It was like, like their name was, just for example, I'm just going to say, like, their name was Sir Mike Knight on Hearthstone. And then on Twitch, there was like someone named Sir Mike Knight 742. I'm like, and he was streaming Hearthstone. I'm like, that's got to be him. And I didn't even open his window. I didn't even look. But I was like, yeah, that's how easy that is,
Yep, and stream sniping is against Twitch terms of service. Not that most people give a shit. A lot of people don't even have to actually sign on to see our stream. I think, and that kind of brings me. I know we're gonna end up just running through topics as they all lead into each other. I'm a firm believer that Twitch should allow us to ban people from seeing our chat, our stream as well. I mean, I get you can chat ban, but you can't stop them from watching, and that is direct in correlation with stream snipers. I've had a lot of stream snipers, especially when I did, because I used to stream Ark on my PvP server, and I had a bunch of people, they'd be like, oh, you on one end you've got a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, I've got this, you want one, and they'll come and give me something. And then I had one person who said, oh yeah, you want this? Come meet me here. Okay, cool. So I went there and they killed my tame and killed me. Took my stuff. So like you got both sides of the coin. I can see why they don't allow us to stop people from watching us, but at the same time, I kind of wish they did. And hold on one second. I got to be a father for a second. Chloe, get down.
Yeah, Chikara fan, who's in chat, is one of our regulars, and he started watching my stream all the time. For the first few months that I was streaming, I would do once and then twice a week games of Quiplash, which is a Jackbox party game. And my problem wasn't so much with stream snipers, but I would get brigaded by racist trolls.
Oh
And
yeah.
I mean some really offensive stuff. It's the reason why you can't link hyperlinks in my chat. It's the reason why I have profanity filter turned on. I don't like having those things turned on, but I had to because of these racist trolls. Now, that being said, the best way to kill a troll is let them starve to death. So a little while ago, we had someone in chat named I Hate Knickers. Now, I don't think he was talking about underwear. You know, I think that and and I really didn't acknowledge him, and I didn't ban him, I didn't kick him, nothing. But you'll notice they left. Um, yeah. So in my case, when you're playing Quiplash, and I was streaming a lot of Quiplash at the time, anyone who is watching your stream, even if they've been banned from your stream, they can still watch it. They can then join the game and then play the game.
Yep.
So, yeah, it I understand what you're saying, but I don't know. I think no matter what they do, you're always going to still have these problems. Like whatever they come up with, someone's going to figure out a way around it. You know?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
I've had the same troll, very persistent troll, for the last, God, I'd say 6 months. And he comes on and new gamer tags. You know, I've had to implement the you must have an email that's been certified. You know, it says certified email in order to talk on my chat, which has caused problems with mostly my family members. But it's something I had to do to try to prevent these trolls. But then you've got, you know, they'll just make another email, verify it with Twitch, and it's like, all right, if they're really like, you know, you gotta kind of admire the you gotta admire the commitment to troll my stream, I guess. To make a new account, to have it verified by Twitch, make a new account on Twitch, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like, wow, that's some commitment.
well, I stopped doing Quiplash a few months ago. I got burnt out on it. It was like every single question that came up, I was like, I've seen this question at least 10 times. You know, it's like
Right.
I was so just burnt out on it
It's
because
the
I
same
was
thing
streaming
that
it.
happened to me with Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, exact same thing. Yeah, exact same thing. But I had one guy that would come in and he was so good at riding that line of being a troll, but not enough for me to really get like worked up about. And my general theory is like someone's trolling, just kind of ignore it and they'll go away. And it was just like he would know, like he was just perfect where I'd just start to forget about him and be like, your beard is white because it's full of cum. And I'd be like, oh yeah, good one. And then I'd, you know, like, and the other day I was streaming, I'm going to say Hearthstone, and all of a sudden his name popped up and he's like, hey man, long time no see. And I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going? Part of my brain recognized it, but I didn't think of it. I'm like, oh, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. I started chatting with him. And he's like, I see you still got that cum in your beard. And I'm like, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that because I had this one troll who would come in just about every day, and I never banned him. All because his comebacks were just bad. Like his insults were just terrible. So me and one of my other viewers that he was also making fun of, we trolled him back. That's all we did, you know. Cause his whole thing was we're fat. Okay, cool, you know. But come up with a cooler way of saying it. You know what I'm saying? Like come up with a better insult. You know, or you know, mix in some your mama jokes in there. Maybe, you know, something new. You know, like, but he never would. So I said, all right, man. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do you a favor. I'm gonna time you out for 10 minutes. Just do a Google search on fat jokes, and then come back to us.
Come back with something fresh.
Yeah, come back with something funny. You know, and he came back every day, and all he would say is, "Up, still fat." Yeah. Yeah, I mean, exercise doesn't work overnight. If I was exercising,
Which we're not.
Which we're not. No, we ended up coming up with a salad, because you know he actually did come with one that said maybe you should eat a couple salads instead of them cheeseburgers, and I was like, oh man, could you imagine a salad with a waffle bowl, some fried chicken, steak, bacon, Like, we're just making the most fattening like salad you've ever heard of, and it just to me it was just delicious. It's just, I don't know. I
My
guess you
wife,
had to be there, but it was pretty funny.
it does some. My wife says, "I'm gonna go make a salad," and when she says that, she means ice cream with whipped cream and chocolate chips.
Oh yeah,
and...
nope. We had the whipped cream. We had the chocolate. I kind of wish that Master Chief had stuck around, because she was there for that too. Oh man, that was hilarious.
She likes to be able to go into work and be like, "Yeah, I had a salad with my dinner," but really, what she means is a bowl of ice cream. So.
Yep.
I have to know, was your T-shirt, is that an NES controller there on your T-shirt?
Absolutely. Let's set
Yes.
it like adults.
Yes.
Like adults.
Oh God, NES, good old
Yep.
NES. I should,
and I actually did have an Atari. I don't know. I'm sure you're old enough to remember that. I had an Atari and a Socrates. That is a littler known system. But it came out just after Atari did. It was like one of the second systems that came out, and it was geared towards teaching kids, certain things. Whereas Atari was just, hey, we got Pong, we got this. I forget what the name of the game was, but you were a little dinosaur, and it was this obviously it was this blocky dinosaur looking thing, and you ran around a castle mazes looking for keys. For some reason, I remember that game quite vividly.
I can't remember. I'm pretty sure that I had a Nintendo before my family got a computer, but I remember my parents had an Apple II, and I remember playing Oregon Trail on it. We had a few games. We had Oregon Trail, and Math Blaster, which was you fight aliens by doing math, and I don't know. Oh, then it was an Apple II GS, and we had this other one called Silent Service, where you were a World War II submarine, and you did submarine missions.
That one I didn't. I remember Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego.
I didn't have that, but I remember it.
Yeah. Jeopardy was a big one. Wheel of Fortune. All the game shows. All those computer games. I didn't own a computer at that time, but my daycare did. So I used to, it was like a community run daycare where it was supplemental, where poor families were able to, and my mother was still moving up in the corporate world. She's now a lot more well off than she was back then. But yeah, no, we used to sign up. You'd sign up for computer time, and Oregon Trail, When in the World was Carmen Sandiego, some of my favorite games. I used to get pissed off at Oregon Trail though. It's like,
why?
Because you'd always have that one person who just died for no reason at all. Just none. It's like, come on, can we all just survive here?
or like worse than that, they would always just constantly like break their leg, and then they'd get dysentery, and then they'd get it's like, why is this, what is wrong with this one person?
Yeah, right.
I will say this. If you want a fun game to play that gives you that blast of the past, there's a game on Steam that I purchased that I put quite a few hours into called Oregon Trail, like internal organs,
Oh.
Oregon Trail. And the premise is there's been a zombie outbreak, and you get rumor that there's safe haven in like Washington, like in Seattle, in Washington. So you have to make your way from Washington D.C. to Seattle, and so you drive your car across country, avoiding zombies and hunting for meat, and it's basically Oregon Trail, but it's and it's got its graphics are a little bit better than used to be on the old Apple, but it's a fun game. If you ever want to blast from the past, throw it in. Do what I do. Throw it on your Steam wish list and wait for it to go on sale.
There you go.
But that being said, let me just real quick interrupt. I've been talking with Mike. He's twitch.tv/Sir Mike Knight. Please make sure you toss him a follow. Do me a favor, Mike. Just if you've got my stream up, and just say something in chat, so anyone who is watching right now can just click on your name and follow you that way. You can also find his Twitter at twitter.com/Sir Mike Knight. Really great guy. And also, Friday nights, you do the Team MZ podcast with Thorn, who was my guest last week.
I do.
Anything else we should plug?
I mean, that the whole podcast is actually kind of new to me. It was Thorn had a family issue and he couldn't do the podcast. And he, I had expressed interest after franchise had left the team, to help with media and stuff like that. I mean, I've got the voice, you know what I'm saying? I've got the voice for it. But yeah, no, so that came along where they asked me like 2 hours before the podcast if I could do it, and I was like, oh man, this is my way in. I've got to do it. So I did it, and then Thorn was like, dude, great job. Can you join me? So the first one we did together was yours.
Oh.
And then the following week, he had another family issue, which it sucks for him. He had another family issue, so that I had to do the podcast again, and this one did not go nearly as well.
No, with Smurf Muffin, you didn't.
Smurf Muffin was great,
dude.
No.
Tag me in. I'll be your wingman. I told Thorn anytime Mike can't
great.
make it.
It wasn't that. It was my. Okay, first of all, he was having issues. He lagged out within the first 5 minutes. Dropped call. Okay, cool. We got him back. He didn't have that problem the rest of the podcast. My kids unplugged the internet.
Oh.
So OBS went completely kaput. So I come back. I've still got viewers. Okay, cool. Then my internet resets itself. Like, really? Nothing can go right. It was so bad. And I apologize profusely. Obviously for Smurf Muffin, great guy.
Oh, really great guy.
Great guy. He was, oh no, it's fine. It's good. And I kept apologizing. It's a terrible thing when you're doing that, and I'm not doing that for myself. That's not about me. That's about this person that I'm interviewing. And it sucks when I'm the reason this is all happening, and it.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll reach out to Smurf Muffin and see if he wants to be on mine next Monday, and just tell him like, yeah, I heard you had a bad experience with some internet issues, so this is sort of a Team MZ makeup.
I'm sure he would be great, dude. That'd be great, man. That would make me feel better, honestly, about what I did to him.
Well, these internet issues, they're beyond their control. You can't don't beat yourself up over it.
Right.
You really can't. You can't. So, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up the stream here. But before I do, is there anything else you want to talk about or bring up or plug or any events coming up?
You wanted to talk about vaping real quick.
Oh,
we never ended up getting into that topic.
Okay, I'll do real quick. A few years ago, my father-in-law, my wife's dad, died of cancer of the everything. Because he was a 2+ pack a day smoker for his entire life, and he died far too young. At his funeral, the funeral had to open up all of its wings. When the funeral director said, "How many people are you expecting?" my wife said, "Probably at least 300 or 400 people." And the guy laughed and thought she was joking, and she's like, "No, I'm serious." And he was like, "Okay, everyone thinks their father is," and then there was people waiting outside in the rain to get in. So, like, this man was universally loved by many. And as we're at the funeral, my wife and I are standing outside in the rain, like under an awning, smoking. And I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
That little thing runs your life. It
does.
And
like within a week, I started doing a lot of research on vaping. Because I knew gum wouldn't work for her. I knew patches wouldn't work for her. So that was it. It's about 3 years, and I've only had 2 drags off of a cigarette in 3 years. So
I'll do mine real quick. I was smoking since I was 14. I smoked I was a 2-pack a day smoker for about 15 years. And yeah, for 15 years. Yeah, I mean, obviously I didn't. Okay, not the entire 15 years, 2 packs a day, but it grew up to that, and for probably about 10 years, I was 2-pack a day, as long as I had the time while I was in the Marine Corps to smoke that much. But vaping, it was the only other way. I tried medication, I tried patches, I tried the gum. Oh my God, that gum is disgusting. Mm-hmm. The lozenges are worse, so much worse. I even tried hypnosis. If if you could believe that. I've tried everything. This is the only thing that has taken a cigarette out of my mouth, and my kids thank me for it.
Mm-hmm.
As well. My daughter, after about 3 months of this, and you get all that hacked up crap out of your system and all that stuff. She'd come up to me and she'd smell me. She said, "You don't smell bad anymore." And that to me is another reason not to ever go back to cigarettes. I have slipped up a couple times, but I always end up coming back to the vape, which is good. I'm now down to 6 milligrams of nicotine, which I'm very proud of. I do puff on it quite often, though, so I'm not exactly sure. I do puff on it a lot, but eventually, I'm hoping to get down to that 0 milligrams of nicotine, not be dependent on a drug for the rest of my life. And,
I'm down to 3 myself, and I mix my own, so I'm actually going to start stepping it down very incrementally, like down to 2.5, then down to 2. I mix my own juice. Listen, I could talk to you for another hour easily, but we have hit 9 o'clock. Yep. I like to keep it a nice tight hour. So the last thing I do before we say goodbye, and this hopefully will be a surprise to you because I prefer it when it's a surprise. I like to give my guest the last word.
Oh, okay. Last word. Stay in school.
Stay in school, kids.
Stay in school. Raise your kids right. Don't raise your kids to be sitting in a safe space, padded room. Vaccinate. The world is not flat. I think we're good.
All right. So from twitch.tv, Sir Mike Knight, and me, Rev, aka twitch.tv/ToastRev, we're gonna say good night and have a good one, everyone. Bye bye.